And let me welcome everybody. I'm Sally Lipsky, and I am thrilled to introduce our star demonstrator today, Lulu Herold. She has the blog, and I'll send out this at our email tomorrow, but Lulu Cooks and Tells. So not only is she a devoted cook, but she's a storyteller too. And you really are. Yes, very poetic. So I am going to hand it over to Lulu. I just wanted to say we'll mute everybody. And if you have questions, of course, you can put them in the chat room, and there'll be time at the end, I'm sure, for questions and answers. And you will get a follow-up email from me probably tomorrow with the recipes in it and any other information that comes up. So you don't have to feel like you have to, be writing things down. Just sit back and enjoy and be entertained. Lulu, it's all yours.
Okay, hello everybody, thanks for coming today. I decided on this particular topic because just like you, I'm always looking for some meat substitute other than tofu or beans or something that you buy from the grocery stores. I have resorted to using Gardine's beef crumbles. And but then I noticed they don't have much flavor in it. So I'm introducing a different kind of meat substitute, and it's made from cauliflower and walnut. But before I go into that, I will just tell you, as she said, I'm a storyteller. And I'll tell you a little story about how I started my blog and how I started attending the group, Plant-Based Pittsburgh group. I actually started the blog in 2011. However, after just writing the welcome post, I stopped completely the blog because in 2011, December, I remember that day, I was sitting in my office. It was the day before the finals, and students were coming in and out, and I got a phone call. And the phone call was from my oncologist, the surgeon who did remove the parotid mass, the salivary glands that my PCP had felt when she touched this part of my neck and hair. I knew that when I got that call that it is not good news. And I said, it is positive, meaning to say that it is malignant. Because at first, after the surgery, they just took one piece and it was benign. But it was taking so long, like 3 weeks, and they could not pinpoint exactly what is happening. I went to visit him and he said, oh, don't worry. But then that phone call indicated that it is indeed malignant after the 3 cell lines test biopsy. What he told me was this: it is called a certain name, I still don't remember, but in short, it is a very rare form of cancer. It's 0.03% of total cancer. It is the sweat glands cancer. And he said, oh, but you're in a way, it was caught early. It is a small, it is caught early. That's why when I started writing about it 3 years later, I didn't call it the big C, but the small c, as one friend said, then it's a small c. That's true, but it is so rare that if he had been very advanced, they wouldn't know what to do. There will be no chemotherapy. He said that I will undergo radiation because they think that would help zap anything that they haven't removed. So when I asked him, so what did I do wrong? And he said, well, you were not lucky. So after the surgery, I told myself I better do something so I can be luckier. So The diet, I changed my diet to the G-Bomb diet by Dr. Furman. Greens, beans, onions, mushroom, you probably have heard of it, and seeds and berries, etc. So I stayed on it. In 2015, I decided to retire. And when I wrote my piece on as I retire from IUP, I remember I put as my favorite course this particular one. Can I have the second slide, Brittany? The second one, that one. Okay, this is a picture of my students in my class. This is Chem 101, and it's an introductory course, and they will do anything for extra credit because it's very hard, you know, for them. Now, I won't have not been able to enjoy Chem 101 if not for these students. These are called the SI instructors. And one of them is Brianna, Lauren Kuminal, and Nicole Morosevich. The two are nursing majors, the other one is a chem major. And the one there during the final is Justin Wagner. And I am very, very grateful to them. However, I am the students, and they also are grateful for one person who trained them to be good SI instructor, and that's Dr. Sally Lipsky. And I'm taking this opportunity to thank Sally Lipsky for making teaching Chem 101 enjoyable. And in the name of my students, they also thank you, Sally. Ironically, 12 and a half years I was at IUP, I never met Sally. The first time I met her was when I attended her talk at the Monroeville Library. And I met there Donna, she's here right now. I was just talking to her, and also Roberta. And I was so happy to see her. When I'm asked, why are you a plant-based whole food advocate? It is because I wanted to see my grandchildren grow up. At that time, I didn't have any grandchildren in 2011. In 2013, Maddie was born. And then later, Luca. They're now 8 and 5, and I'm still here. And 10 years later, I'm still here. And I credit this particular approach to eating for helping me. All right. So why do I blog? I blog because I like to talk and I like to cook. And I like to serve different people also. And so for today, I would like to give an update on a recipe that I actually demonstrated. It's actually the first demonstration way back in 2017, I think, our first demonstration at the Murraysville Library, when we have to carry everything because there was nothing there except a sink and a refrigerator. But anyway, we can start. So Brittany, could I have the next slide, please? We will start with the, this is the ingredients for the cauliflower walnut meat. This is the one I'm proposing to you to try as a substitute for ground meat. And as you can see, the ingredients are very few. The first one is cauliflower, 3 cups of cauliflower florets. And then the second one is, I'll combine them later. And the second one is walnuts. Now, the author, Pinch of Yum, I adopted this from her, suggested whole walnuts, but I couldn't find it. So I'm just using half pieces and walnut halves and pieces. But one thing important is, from attending many of the seminars that was given by this group, is it's healthier if you use raw walnuts. It turns out, and there was a lecture on this by Dr. Gentili, on Tausi about how dry roasting of substances that are high in protein and high in fats produces so-called AGEs or glycotoxins, or the long one called advanced glycotoxins and so forth, and products. So from then on, I started using raw walnuts because the roasted walnuts are definitely roasted at a very dry temperature. The other ingredients, the reason why I'm showing this is something that might not be familiar to you, and that's chipotle pepper. And chipotle pepper, as the picture shows, comes in little, and most of the brands are mostly red, so you cannot miss this. And it's really, it is an adobo sauce. So this is jalapeno pepper that has been smoked, dried, and rehydrated by cooking in tomato sauce and vinegar. So it is both smoky and spicy. Now, some people might ask, do we really need to use that? I remember, Donna, this is my story, because I already demonstrated one dish that I'll show you today. And she said, Lulu, how come mine didn't taste like yours? In the Mooresville Library, we could taste because it was in person. I said, did you use chipotle pepper? She said, no. And it does make a difference to the taste if you use this particular ingredient. However, if you cannot have it, paprika, smoked paprika will be okay, and so forth. The next ingredient is something that you can adjust, and that is the chili pepper. And chili pepper it really is the one that gives a kick aside from the chipotle pepper. Now, if you have kids and you want them to eat your taco, you might like to make this a little bit less than 1 tablespoon that I've suggested there. And cumin is added for added smokiness. And then the last ingredient in here, the second to then of course, I added garlic powder, but then it's me, I like garlic powder. The original author did not use garlic powder. It was just an option. But for me, I like my things to be garlicky. And then this is when I started using, instead of salt, I started using white miso paste. Now, if you're doing so-called SOS-free approach to eating, that means it is free of salt, free of oil, and also free of sugar or refined sugar. So you find substitute that have more substance in it, nutrients in it compared to the other one, or different types of absorption. And they did a scientific study that the active ingredient really in both table salt and miso paste to make it salty, it's really sodium chloride. I'm sorry, I'm a chemist, so I'm using those terms. However, they found out, they did a study, comparative study, and I highlighted the source in there. Anything you have highlight in there, that means there's a link. In this particular case, in their study, they found out the blood pressure of those taking miso paste was lower. And that's because, the effect on the blood pressure is less than what table salt would do. And that's because of, again, being whole foods. It has soy in it. And the soy will kind of, not totally cancel, but it helps in making it less absorbed. And so there really is a big, big advantage in doing whole food, plant-based diet, the word whole food. Also, by the way, I wondered about that thing about roasting, because I talked to Brittany about this when we were practicing on this one. And Brittany said, actually all food, when you roast it, will, you know, give out AGE. And then I said, why am I not dead yet? You know, why haven't I aged yet or something? And it turns out it pays to have a whole foods diet, because there are other substances there that help you counteract the bad effects of the AGEs. Not that you should abuse it, but that's another proof that, you know, whole food plant-based really helps. Now, we will talk about then how do you approximate what Lindsay or Pinch of Pian did, because you can indeed eat this raw after you have it, but I prefer it baked. And the way I experimented with this after talking to Brittany, 250 degrees, but longer time, 45 minutes, I found that the color will be, and also the taste, you know, will be the same as roasting at higher temperature. Actually, Lindsay was using 375 and 30 minutes shorter, but then you have the AGEs. So why don't we, thank you, Brittany, for showing this slide. Let me just show you really what it is you just dump it in your, it's 3 cups. In one of my recipe, I said the whole cauliflower. I corrected it because I have a cauliflower that's this big, and boy, if you put it in here, boy, it would be different ratio. So I said 3 cups, and that's also what Lindsay Pinch of Piam said. Now, what I like to do, instead of mixing the nuts with it, I will mix the different spices to it. And the first one I would put is this chipotle. They come in little pieces. Let me show you how I store them. I freeze this, you know, because they come little pieces like this. And what I do is I just separate them, and because you cannot you cannot use the whole thing. I mean, you can, but it's not required. For this particular recipe, you only use 2 pieces. And what I do is I chop them so that they will be scattered a little bit better across the whole thing. So I will add this now, like so. It's chopped. And I will add what else do we have here? We have the really chili powder and the cumin and the garlic powder. I like garlic. Lindsay doesn't. And I have here the miso paste. This is how it looks. All right. So I have white miso paste, and that means it was made from rice, versus the red miso, which was more from soy. So let me show you the miso paste I bought at the Asian store in Monroeville. This is how it looks, but it can come in little containers also. And what I do is I cut it, and then I put it in another plastic bag, plastic containers, so it's not wobbly in my refrigerator. So as I mentioned, I prefer to pulse this first, the cauliflower, but Lindsay does this all together. She does this all in one shot, you know, but I notice I have more control when I do this cauliflower first, because I don't want it to be mealy. I mean, you want it mealy, but not pasty. Okay, but then it's all up to you. They're all good. They all taste good. So I pulse it. And then when I see most of the cauliflower almost done. Then I add my walnuts. And keep my fingers crossed, it be the one that I like. But you know what? This is very forgiving. What it does is, it is a flavor enhancer, really. I mean, you can use this for anything and it will carry the flavor of all the spices that are in there. And since you're gonna be roasting this at a very low temperature, the safe temperature, it's already cooked. And you will see that everything will go really fast when you apply this. I think I'll stop there. Okay, and I'll show you how I like it to look. Can you see it? Bob, can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see how mealy it is, and the rougher it is, the better. And so here's the thing. You can actually use this already as is. And it's really delicious and so forth. However, it's just my preference. And I like it when it comes to being used for taco, for example. I like it baked, being baked first before I use it. However, if you're using it for menudo, like I'm cooking it again with other things, you can use this particular cauliflower walnut meat as is. Because if you, for example, in the bolognese, because you're cooking it further, you can use it as is. But for tacos, you can also use it as is. But I like the cauliflower to be cooked. So what I do is, I'll show you here. You preheat your oven to 250. It will be really fast. It's a low temperature. And then I already have one right here. You line a pan with parchment paper, and then you spread it out, and halfway through the 45 minutes, you kind of mix it. And then this is how it looks at the end. As you notice, it's already, it has cooked. It has a nice color. And this one is also okay. And if you taste this, you will see that the cauliflower is cooked. And one thing more, I know, because I was experimented with this one, the cauliflower does absorb it, but the combination of the cauliflower and walnut is magical, because they together absorbs the spices and they become a very effective flavor enhancer for your dish. So what do you do with this? Lindsay called this, this is how it looks. And what you can do, and I did this, is put it in a plastic bag, and you can store it in a plastic bag, pour it in here, and just take out whatever you can for your recipe. And actually, I have taken out a little bit because I have a hankering for this and that, especially if you watch TV. You know, you see everybody eating tacos and so forth. But nowadays, there are a lot of people who are doing taco bars and taco nights any time of the year, even Christmas Day. I heard somebody saying, oh, I had a taco night on Christmas because we have different kinds of people on different diets and we can customize it. So now you can now introduce a plant-based, whole food, delicious meat for your tacos, your taco meat. So I'll show you now my attempt in making a taco bar or a taco board. They call it board, but I don't have a board. So what I did, was use this round pan I had that I got when they were serving sandwiches. I have been keeping this for years, and I covered it with something Mexican looking, and this is my taco board. All right, and you can see there is cheese. And by the way, I gave an easy recipe for cheese using oats, but I have other recipes for cheese, and you can also use Gerudi family cheese, vegan cheese. And this is my favorite. And I have beans and different kinds of taco shell, corn, tortillas, and other add-ins that you can, whatever you want. I didn't put in everything. Of course, there's the salsa and so forth. And then there is this corn, lime corn tortilla chips. This is my favorite. And also, by the way, because the way I eat this actually is I just put it in a flour tortilla and I just roll it up like a cigar and eat it. At least I'm not eating it as is. I still put it in here. Lindsay says she just eats it as is. Let me share this recipe that I kind of developed while working on this one. I saw this on TV. Did you see this ad? They took some kind of tortilla and then they cut it in like a triangle, and then they put cheese in it, and then they put meat in it or anything, and then they roll it up and then they air fry. So this is, you can do this too. It's like a mini quesadillas, and you can bring this anywhere. I was eating this with the grapes when I was finishing up a meeting, my notes on the meeting. So this is one thing I have done. You can just spread the cheese, this cheese into a small tortilla, and then you put your taco meat, your taco crumble, or whatever, this cauliflower meat, walnut meat, and you will have something like this. And if you didn't make it too spicy, it might be, the kids would love this too. And you can take it with you, because I remember watching Cassie Davis show that sometimes when she goes on a plane, what should she bring? Well, I highly suggest you can now pack this cauliflower meat with you in a plastic bag, baked or raw, and you will have something in your luggage to take out and use wherever you're going. Or you can prepare something like this, aside from the tacos and so forth. Now, the other thing, probably the question you may ask is, but look, it looks like it has some Mexican flair in it. Can it be used for something else? Well, yes. And I was hankering for a vegan or plant-based whole food ground meat for my menudo. Menudo is the Filipino version of sloppy joe. Definitely this is good for sloppy joe, the American sloppy joe. But for something like menudo, which is a ground beef dish, which is just as popular as the adobo and pancit and lumpia, it's something I grew up with. They add other things in it. And really it has the Spanish flavor or undertone to it, influence in it. As you will see, let me see, that might not, could we have the next slide, Brittany? Anyway, the menudo actually Okay, this is when I'm comparing the two. And this, by the way, in the next slide, I forgot, there is this, I gave you I'm giving the different types of taco bar that you can make. So you can have your taco bar party. So I'm providing this to you. You know, there are different references there, links, so you can go and see how they do the taco bar, all right, and so forth. And also there's a link on how to create a taco bar party, wherein she tells you how to heat your tortillas, etc. Oh, she has all kinds of hints on how to do things. Anyway, and in the next slide, what's the next slide? Okay, here's the recipe. Let me put this away. All right. I'm back. In this next recipe, I'm showing you how a particular dish which has been influenced by the Spaniards who colonized the Philippines. Does anybody know how long we have been colonized by the Spaniards? You can write your answer in there and you can win something. No, I'm just joking. But anyway, we have been colonized for, Bobby, do you know? My husband, 300 years. So we have a lot. Did somebody give the answer? I can't see it. But anyway, there are a lot of Spanish influence in this dish. One is the use of raisins, all right? Of course, the use of tomato sauce and so forth. This is a very, I updated this recipe. For one thing, when I first made this at the Morrisville Library, I remember there were some people there who were diabetic, who were in shock when I said, and use 1/2 cup ketchup, you know, because my mother loves to make this dish with ketchup because it's naturally flavored already. And one of them said, hey, you know, what? Okay, say what? So I changed that because I updated this to be healthier. So instead of ketchup, and I use, because I could hardly read my iPhone in there, I use instead just tomato paste, all right, instead of the ketchup. Okay, and in order to simulate the ketchup, this is an option. You can stop at the tomato paste, but I want to simulate the taste of ketchup. And I added maple syrup, but you can use date syrup. And you use this to your taste. I mean, you add to your taste the amount. All right. Now, in ketchup, I understand why they gasp in shock is because it has high fructose corn syrup. And then we all know that high fructose corn syrup is metabolized very differently from glucose, and it ends up in your, I guess, in your belly, and it's not healthy for you. All right. I forgot already I used to teach that it goes through a different metabolic pathway. And what you don't ingest then turns in triglyceride, into fat. So that's why it is a no-no, especially during the time when I was giving this demo. It was a hot topic about high fructose corn syrup. So the alternative is to use either date syrup or maple syrup. It's more a comparison of nutrients versus, let's say, sugar, plain table sugar. No, it's not high fructose corn syrup. But if you compare the nutrients between the two, the maple syrup and date syrup is much better, has a higher nutrient density. So in other words, they're not as empty as when you're using just plain table sugar. So that's what I'm suggesting to use. I also added in the recipe balsamic vinegar, because most ketchup has balsamic vinegar. And I find it delicious to add it. But then again, it's optional, it's up to you. And by the way, if you really don't have corn, if you don't have the syrups that I'm suggesting, you can add more raisins too. Because that's a very, the next ingredient in the list in here, aside from the other ones like garlic and onion powder, and then the tomato sauce, is raisins. That's a very common ingredient in a lot of dishes that is of a Latin American origin, especially Spanish dishes. And also there is green peas. Again, you might ask, oh, that's canned. Yeah, we use a lot of canned foods in the Philippines, but you can use fresh green peas, or you can use frozen green peas, because we really don't have the green peas like they have in Spain. So we buy the canned ones. Now, the other one is roasted pimiento from a jar. You can again use fresh red pepper and without even roasting. And by the way, roasting doesn't, in vegetable, doesn't produce AGE as much as the higher fats. So don't worry about that. So that is a common ingredient in Spanish influenced dishes in the Philippines. It's pimiento, we call it. And then the other one is potato. I like adding potato because it kind of neutralizes the sweetness of the other ingredients. And in this particular case, since we're using a cauliflower, a walnut meat, which is smoky and spicy, it kind of mellows it down. I love adding potatoes in here. You can make it healthier with sweet potatoes. And then the last one, which is a very common ingredient in Spanish influenced Filipino dishes, is the addition of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. And this gives a crunchiness that I love and that I crave for. So, and then of course, our ground beef, our ground meat, our cauliflower walnut meat. And what I do when I make this is I just dump everything in the skillet. I'm not cooking this, I'll show you a finished product. Brittany, thanks. I'll be showing them how to do this now. So literally, you just add everything. If you're using fresh onions and garlic, you can use, instead of oil, remember we're doing an SOS-free approach to eating. You can use broth, vegetable broth, and salt-free, or you can use garlic powder, onion powder, and that's what I'm adding in the skillet. I will be adding all the rest of the ingredients in here, and then we will have the tomato sauce. I mean, not tomato sauce, I'm sorry, tomato paste in here. This is when I'm simulating ketchup. And then I'm using maple syrup. And again, you can modulate this to your taste or to your diet needs. All right. And then I just dump everything, the raisins. Here's the jarred pimiento. I have it sliced, but you can use the whole. And then the green peas, literally, you just add them together like this. And then what I do is I bake the potato in the microwave, and then I cut them up so it will be fast, and I just mix this with a little bit of broth until, and by the way, what did I forget? I forgot the meat. All right, so I have here already, you need 3 cups. I might have less than that, but I think I'm gonna, so this is something I prepared ahead of time. I baked it. This is the cauliflower walnut meat, and you mix it, 3 cups of that. I'll steal a little bit from here. We love this dish. I'm gonna serve this. This is very, very popular in my family. You know what, guys? I can't read because it's so small, my iPhone. I can't read the chat and so forth. This can be done also deconstructed, meaning to say, you put in the cauliflower, you put in the nuts in, and then the spices right here, and then you mix and mix. You can do that too. Or you can use the raw. But the advantage of this, because if you have this cauliflower, walnut meat in a bag, just imagine, hello, you just scoop what you need, put it in here, and since everything is already flavored and cooked, look, I just have to mix this in a stove, simmered for a few minutes because they're already cooked. So with the help of your pantry, and also with preparing the cauliflower meat already flavored. Now you can adjust a little bit with more, let's say, things like miso paste and so forth. You can adjust that, or maybe a little bit more of the tomato paste, but this is how it looks. At the end, this is this was taken right from the freezer. I did not microwave it. I usually eat it with rice, but you can see this, and this is addictive. Did you like this, Bobby? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one of my kids and my husband's favorite dish. They don't say, where's the meat now? Because there's so many things in here, plus it's highly flavored. Did the Mexican spices detract from the Spanish type of dish? No, actually it enhanced it. And this is one thing you can do with this menudo when it's done. And what you can do with the meat is something I played with before today, is using easy empanada. In the next slide, I think that's the empanada, right? You can use, Brittany. Okay, this is the cauliflower menudo. And then in the next one thing you can use, this is something frozen from before, is to use this to make empanada, which is a turnover or a pastry. And I have here, when the first one, I'll be honest, this was done a long time ago. It's so pretty. I use oil in making the pastry for that first one on the left. In the second one, I'm showing you a chickpea turnover wherein I use something I developed that is oil-free. The secret in here is the use of almond flour. Now, almond flour has a lot of oil in it. That's why when I was developing a recipe, a pastry recipe, it was hard because I don't want to use oil. I want it to be oil-free. If I want something with oil, I just go back to Artie Sequeira's recipe, which has 1/4 cup of oil, but I don't want to. I want challenges. That's why I'm a blogger. And so I decided from 2 sites to use almond flour, and it works. It's a little bit hard to work with, but if you look, I don't think I put the reference, but the chickpea turnover has this particular pastry, but that will be another demo for another day. So what I did, because I really want my turnover, is, guess what? I used flour tortillas, this baby here. And what I did was I just, do we have time? Is just use this to make this, we don't have time, all right? To make this, so you can make this turnover using tortillas. You just stick it in there, okay? You cut it in half because this is big, or if you have a small one, just the whole half, and then put it over, and then you crimp it with a fork, and then bake it in the air fryer for 6 minutes at 350. And you will see, it's really, I love this. This is what I was eating the whole day, and I was happy. And last but not least, because there's not much time, is, and before I forget, this is menudo in a bun, and this is how I ate at the sari-sari store. These are called small stores in the Philippines. I will have 30 centavos, 30 cents, and I will sit in those chairs, and I'll pay proudly with my hard-earned 30 centavos, and Aling Tina will make me a menudo sandwich. I just want to show you why I have it in 2 pieces of bread in the picture. Now, the last one I'm going to give you is, we went to Florida, and we to watch the competition, the dancing competition, wherein my daughter Bettina's teen Point Park University's dancing was competing, and we ate at Ciro's. And then I saw my husband was eating this bolognese, and I took a little bit of it, and I said, I fell in love with this. So I said, I'm going to make this. I'm going to make plant-based whole food using cauliflower meat, walnut meat. And I did that when I came home, and the recipe is in the next, this is how it looks, by the way. And the recipe, Britt, can you show the recipe? And this is the recipe for the cauliflower bolognese, walnut meat bolognese. And what I did in here, I can't read it, so I will look at my notes. I did add to the cauliflower walnut meat, which has a Mexican flavor. And I was afraid it will detract from the Italian bolognese. Not really. It actually enhances it, just like the Spanish influenced menudo. I added the oregano, fennel seeds. That's optional because some people in my family doesn't like anything weird, like my husband. And then and then tomato paste, white miso paste, and that crushed tomatoes. And one thing I found out is to get the edge off everything, to make it smoother, because my husband wasn't happy, I added non-dairy milk. I used oat milk. And then I use 1/4 to 1/2 cup red or white wine. I use red, and it tasted almost like the one at Ciro's. And here it is. So even though this baby has a Mexican flair, you can doctor it with other ingredients to suit your taste. If we can go to the first slide, Brittany, let me just summarize what I have given in the very, very first one. Yeah, the overview, that one. In here, I gave you again a collage, and I have given references there of how you will make them. Now, the burrito actually is an example how you can make the same approach using a vegetable other than cauliflower. I use actually carrots in there in place of cauliflower because that's what I had. And I just followed the same procedure. Now, above it, on the left, panel, on the leftmost corner at the top, you have there a taco. In that taco, I added this because it's so pretty. I have other taco recipe, but this one, if you click on it, actually the common denominator with this approach is really the use of walnut. In this case, Linda Jones roasted vegetable is the one that you could use to make this. Because if you look at the recipe, by the way, they're linked, you click on it, I use roasted vegetables. I don't remember everything that's in it, but I had walnuts. And also I use different spices. The approach is a little bit different. But the walnut gives it texture, the vegetable and walnut together gives the flavor. And so, and also the one in the middle is a simpler version of menudo. It doesn't have all the cuchi in it. It's just plain, it's more Mexican way, wherein they just use, when I use cauliflower, walnut meat, and just, but I don't think they have raisins in there if you want that. And then of course I have the crunch wrap at the bottom. I have a recipe for that for you to do. I like that. Anyway, you know what? I don't see anything in my, I can't see any questions you have. So if you have any questions for me or for Brittany.
I have several people have asked, Lulu, what do you think about, because you already mentioned substituting carrots, but maybe broccoli or parsnips is.
Oh, parsnips will be good. You know why? Because it has a firmer texture. Okay, but then broccoli, why not?
Why not? Okay.
As I said, you remember Linda Jones'
Yes.
wonderful seminar
Yes.
on vegetables? If you add walnuts to that, all right, and
Yes.
then you put the other spices, voila, you have the same thing, a little bit different. Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else have questions?
I'm sorry, I cannot read any of the
Yeah,
chat.
if you write them down, I'll say them, or everyone wants to eat what you just showed us.
Oh, you know
put
what?
those things in front of the screen and it's, oh,
You
don't do this.
Want me to bite into this? This is so good. Inside, this is the menudo.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
And
I'm
it's very,
salivating.
everybody has a tortilla, right? Just put it
Right.
in between, put it in the air fryer, and you have your lunch to go.
Mhm.
And it's crunchy. And also, by the way, I love this. You should do this. Spread it with the cheese, put a little bit of the meat in it, and then make a triangle, and then put it in the air fryer. Your kids will love this as a snack. Of course, you mellow down the, those spicy.
Yeah, I'm going to send you all these comments because people are like, I can't wait to do this. This is such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, by the way, if you follow everything, of course, you never tasted what this is like. So you won't miss anything because you didn't taste the original,
Right.
meaning my. So do whatever you want. It's just, you do it according to your method. But if you tasted this and you didn't make it, taste it the same way like Donna did, duh. And by the way, I said you can use, instead of that, there's a chipotle red pepper. I never use it. I just like the real McCoy. And if, let's say you like chipotle, that restaurant over there, and they have this whole food plant-based rice bowl, burrito bowl. Oh my gosh, this is it. and you want it to taste that way, the secret is really this baby here,
Okay,
chipotle.
Chipotle. And
Just like-
other, oh, I'm sorry, other comments can you do it in the oven? I would say absolutely. I do it, I toast, or the toaster oven, you could do it in.
The air fryer.
This one?
Yes,
You mean this quesadillas kind of thing?
the quesadilla or the little triangle one that you air fried. Could you do
Like
that?
using, you see, I have a new air fryer that is a little bit wider, so I can load more. Oh, definitely. I will do this in the oven. You know, this time you don't have to be alarmed by roasting dry because of the fact, and Brittany explained it to me, they're already mixed with other things, meaning the nuts. It's safe. All right?
Yeah.
If you're worried about that AGE thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Once it's mixed with other things, or it's steamed or mixed with other things, it's okay. Brittany can answer if you have more questions about that. I was educated by Brittany. I learned,
Of course, we all are. Yes.
I mean, I learned a lot, and to keep in this diet, you have to be in a group and attend educational seminars, and also develop recipes. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you stay with it because you get excited, you know, when you see something, can I make it plant-based? And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Well, it was stupendous. So one other question someone asked, how long did you put in the air fryer? What temperature?
I for this baby here,
Mhm.
5-6 minutes at 350 only. And
Okay.
since mine is might be different from yours, I put it at the topmost layer. It has this, it circulates. I don't even flip it, but you can if you want for another minute.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is I forgot the brand. Yeah. Yeah, but this one is so good, believe me. Oh, Bobby, you like this, right? He ate this,
Yeah.
and this is his favorite. It's like plain quesadillas. That McKeever cheese with this baby here, your new friend, Cauliflower, Walnut Meat. You'll be in heaven. Your kids will be in heaven. If you ever go to any trip, bring this on the airplane. It will not dribble all over you because the cheese will be pasting it right on the paste, the tortilla. I wanted to tell you that sometimes this one can be real crumbly. And if you want it to dribble less when you're putting it in taco, wet this a little bit with water. Okay, so that it doesn't dribble all over here, or when you bring it to the airplane or something. But here is the key. The cheese paste is the paste. Oh my God, want me to bite on it? It's like, it's so good. It's on TV actually, but they're using non-vegan.
Oh, she is a tease, Marcia. Yes, you are a tease. Okay. All our stomachs are growling, watching you. Okay. This is so wonderful. Everyone's going to get the recipes and the links when I email them.
All right, I'm gonna email you the PowerPoint and
Yes.
just change it to a text or whatever.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Wow, this was stupendous, Lulu. We are excited. Yes, we are.
Yeah, I mean, this is now your recipe. You haven't tasted this, so you don't have expectations like Donna. So do whatever you want. It's gonna Donna tasted this. Why didn't I get it? Donna, you use Chipotle.
Okay. Thank you. This was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And
I learned a lot doing this. Brittany and Sally, thank you very much. I applied what I learned from all your wonderful seminars.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
And
Great job.
great job. Great job.
Thanks, Britt. Thanks, Ali. Thanks, everybody.
Lulu, you're going to get all this. You were fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be of service because I usually buy the ones in the bag, the Gardine, and there's another brand from Aldi's.